What's going on, guys? Blood Moon Bobby here, and at long last, another camera-related video. And we are talking about today Fujifilm's newest entry-level camera in their X mirrorless series, the Fujifilm X-A5. And the company says that it has a 24.2 megapixel sensor, and it's got new color reproduction technology. I'm guessing, judging by what The Verge says, that they did say it's not the X-Trans CMOS sensor you see on like Fujifilm's X Pro 2 higher end mirrorless cameras. And it uses a more traditional Bayer patterning process. So I'm guessing that it keeps the optical low pass filter. Now, optical low pass filter, or the benefit of having it means you won't get any vignetting like when you would take pictures of clothes and it has those weird lines. Moire, not vignetting, you dumbass. Anyway, back to the video. The downside is the filter kind of blurs the image a little bit. But that's not something for you to worry about, especially in an entry level camera. Like the two DSLRs I use, my Nikon D7000 and D300Ss, they both have their optical low pass filters, so don't worry about it. I'm sure it still takes really good pictures as it is a Fujifilm X series camera. The ISO, the normal range has been boosted to 12,800, but you can go up to 51,200. My guess is you probably wouldn't want to use the ISO past 1,600 just to be safe. Usually when a camera company boasts a really large ISO, it's usually code for this takes good low light photos. So that's what they mean. You wouldn't want to shoot at something like even 12,800 because that is crazy high and your images are going to be super noisy. The camera has 4K video with an asterisk at 15 frames per second for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yes, I stole that line from Angry Joe. So you won't be taking legit 4K videos because 15 frames per second is basically a slideshow. What I think Fujifilm is trying to do is it's more about taking video and an image at the same time. So you'll get a choppy 4K video, but the important thing is you'll be able to grab a still frame from the video and it'll still come out looking nice, because even though the camera has the ability to record 1080p videos at up to 60 frames per second for up to 14 minutes, 1080p images, when they're stills, are around 2 megapixels, whereas a 4K still tends to be around 8 megapixels. So I think they're more going for the fact that you can take a choppy video, but you can still pull a still frame. It's one of those. It's a case where if you're having one of those once in a lifetime moments where you can't decide if it's better to take a picture or shoot a video, you can do both. So, and speaking of the videos, the X-A5 will have a microphone jack so you can plug in an external mic. And if you're thinking about getting into video journalism, not that you should buy this camera, but if you want to do video on the side, you're going to want that microphone jack. And not to go off on a tangent for a second, but I strongly recommend if you're going to buy an external mic, get something like a attenuation cable. I might have a link down below in the description, because if you use any other cable to plug in a mic, you'll pick up some background noise. So just keep that in mind. And the Fujifilm X-A5 is going to be, I think it's the first time Fujifilm is putting a power zoom lens on one of their X series cameras. So what a power zoom lens, it's still an interchangeable lens and it is collapsible like you see on a lot of entry-level mirrorless and DSLR cameras. But the idea is that instead of using a zoom ring to move the lens, it uses a switch to zoom the lens in and out, kind of like on a point and shoot camera. And I think the point of that is especially for like beginner photographers, to get used so that it feels more natural coming off a point and shoot, where instead of making a lens zoom in and out using a lens ring, it uses a more more of an electronic mechanism to make it come out like a point and shoot camera. If you guys are still using point and shoot cameras that zoom these days. And another thing is that power zooms tend to, because they move more naturally than something like a lens ring on a DSLR or mirrorless camera, it means you're able to get smoother zooming for videos. So the lens itself is a 15 to 45 millimeter lens that has an aperture range that goes from 3.5 on the wide angle to 5.6 telephoto. Basically meaning not the best in low light, so you're going to have to boost the ISO if you're going to be shooting indoors or outside. So at night, I should say. The good thing is that the lens can focus up to 5 centimeters, which means it is good for macro shots. And I really feel like that's a really good thing for a kit lens. And I honestly think kit lenses should have macro ability because people like taking food and flower pictures. We live in the era where people take food pictures on Instagram. Even if you don't say you don't, I know you do take food pictures. Even I do that sometimes. So anyway, moving on. And the camera itself can shoot at 6 frames per second, which is pretty good for a entry-level mirrorless camera. So you'll be able to take some pretty decent sports pictures. Now, the funny thing is, Fujifilm's press release says it has a large rotatable touchscreen that flips up 180 degrees for self-portraits. By large, they mean a 3-inch LCD, not like a 3.2-inch screen you would see on a high-end Canon or Nikon DSLR. So, sorry to disappoint you there. I mean, 3 inches is still plenty usable, and it has a good resolution. It's 1,040,000 dots, so it's a really good picture, especially for a entry-level mirrorless camera. And so the screen flips out, so you'll be able to take selfies, or if you're a vlogger, you'll be able to take videos. And the X-A5's battery can last up to 450 shots, which is kind of it's not horrid, but not exactly a good amount of shots you would want for a camera. So if you do a lot of, especially continuous shooting, you may want to purchase a second battery. The camera itself will have 11 of Fujifilm's film simulation modes, and it will also have advanced shooting modes, like it has a new fog remove feature. I need to test that out myself, because the last time I heard Fujifilm come out with some sort of removing feature is that they once had a feature like on the old FinePix HS10 Mega Zoom camera. There was a people remover. I think it was called motion remover, where it was supposed to remove people walking by, getting the tourist out of the shots. And I heard that it was an absolute gimmick. So I would need to say that if you're an advanced shooter shooting in the fog, you may want to try putting your photo into something like Lightroom and messing with their dehazing features. So don't rely on that. I'll have to see if it really works. And it will have an HDR art mode, which I don't understand. Why does HDR get kind of a bad rap for being too colorful and too, like, the exposure being a little too perfect? Like, I've shot some HDR footage. I've taken some HDR pictures, like when I was at the Grand Canyon, and they come out really nice. So if you're into HDR art, I think you're gonna like that. And just like newer Nikons, the Fujifilm X-A5 will have Bluetooth LE, low energy, so you can automatically connect wirelessly to transfer stills and videos to smartphones. And the X-A5 will have phase detection autofocus, so it should be pretty fast for focusing. The X-A5 is available now for $600 with that new lens, and it will be available separately for $300. So if you have like the Fujifilm X-A1, you can upgrade to the X-A5 for a pretty decent price for a mirrorless camera. So overall, what do I think of the X-A5? I think this is a case of being good enough. is good enough. I mean, it's got a high resolution sensor that I'm sure is going to be great in low light, and even if you don't use the 4K video modes, it still has 1080p at 60 frames per second, and it's got a lot of user friendly features like the power zoom, the macro mode. That's if you buy the power zoom lens. It has 6 frames per second, and most importantly, manual mode. So if you're looking to get into serious photography, you can mess with shutter speed and aperture. And I think that's just it. If you're looking for a camera, if you're trying to get into photography and you want to learn about like the exposure triangle and take decent videos, this camera should do the job for you. So, alright guys, this has been Blood Moon Bobby, and thanks for watching. Hey guys, this has been a Blood Moon Bobby video. Please like this video or dislike it, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.